What's up guys, welcome back to another video. I got a very special one today, which is ARK Invest believing that deep learning in the next 15 to 20 years will create $30 trillion of value. That seems like a pretty far stretch since $30 trillion is a lot of money, but we're talking about in the next 2 decades. Should we believe this or should we not? Now, ARK Invest and also Cathie Wood, they are a really good combination. Like ARK Invest is this really good fund and it's managed by Wood, who is a very good fund manager. And they were the ones that actually talked about Tesla going to $1 trillion market cap when it was only valued at $40 billion several years ago. And what's really interesting about ARK Invest is they usually hire scientists and researchers other than just hiring traditional MBAs. That's pretty interesting because if you have a lot of these scientists and researchers, they could definitely find you the best fintech, the best genome stocks, and the best space stocks. And that's pretty big in my opinion. So deep learning is becoming a really big issue recently because it's been getting a lot of people's attention. Since it's making so much money, Tesla is also in the middle of all of this. We all know that Tesla has their own signature autopilot, and their autonomous driving technology is very good. If you want to buy it right now, you can. You can actually drive in inner metropolitan cities if you want to. And by the way, it's pretty expensive. It's $10,000. They recently increased it from a price of $8,000. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Tesla increased it from 10 grand to 12 grand. Tesla has really good autonomous driving. And they also have redundant camera data, which means having both 360-degree camera coverage, and they also have a ton of data that they fed to it. Guess what? Tesla is updating their full self-driving beta software every 5 to 10 days. The more people drive it, the more Tesla gets the data and the miles, and the more they could turn that into data and feed it right back into the autopilot. So when it updates, it's going to drive even better and it's a lot safer. And with this really good combination, it could definitely exceed a human person's ability to drive. And I've even heard stories where if the road is super foggy, people rather turn on the autopilot instead of driving it by themselves. And the majority of the autonomous vehicle companies right now claim that redundant camera data is not enough. Therefore, they're turning to things like LiDAR, which is extremely expensive. Now, Tesla has said multiple times that even if LiDAR is free, they wouldn't use it. But guess what? LiDAR is super expensive. I say it's one of the most expensive parts of an electric vehicle. Like with an EV, the lithium-ion batteries are super pricey, but you also got to factor in the price of LiDAR, which is also very, very expensive. Right now, there's several different LiDAR companies, and a lot of these guys are working with a lot of different autonomous vehicles. They're working with like Volkswagen, Hyundai, Ford, etc. And with simply 360-degree camera coverage, Tesla is like the only guys doing this. If you check out other cars like Cadillac or General Motors, they add cameras to their cars, but they don't really do that much. And since you're driving, you still got to look at the mirrors. You still got to pay attention to the road. Now, you have Google's Waymo project, which has cameras everywhere, like 360 degrees, but it doesn't have any scale. And the Waymo project in their vehicles has multiple LiDAR sensors, which cost up to $7,500 per pop. That's very expensive. $7,500 for one single LiDAR sensor. And you need multiple of those for a single vehicle, which makes the vehicle costing nearly $200,000, which is the price of a Tesla Roadster. And that's pretty pricey. I think people are warming up to the idea of deep learning and also redundant cameras with scale is because it's a lot cheaper. LiDAR is not going to be cheap. It's going to be a very expensive piece of tool. Yes, LiDAR can definitely help you achieve autonomous driving, but if you're selling your cars for hundreds of thousands of dollars, you're not going to be getting that many customers. And by the way, there's not really that much data with other car companies. Other car companies mostly hire professional drivers to actually drive and test the vehicles, and they only have a few million miles, whereas Tesla has billions of miles already available. I just feel like Tesla's vehicles are a lot more superior, especially how if you want an autonomous vehicle right now, while you're watching this video, head over to the Tesla website, buy yourself a Model 3 and buy yourself the autopilot that costs $10,000. You can actually drive this in major cities and transition from cities to highway routes, and that is pretty nice. If you look at Tesla's cameras, they have redundant cameras at scale, 360-degree camera coverage, enough data fed into the system to make it very safe and good. And so far, it just prevents them from using these pricey LiDARs and they're doing really well. I think Tesla's main goal recently to really make themselves a multi-trillion-dollar company is essentially make the best autonomous driving software without LiDAR, but also implement ride hail, because they have been talking about this for several years now. Autonomous ride hail will definitely be beneficial for Tesla, the drivers, and also the people who are getting onto the vehicles. Now, more specifically, you wouldn't really be a driver. You will most likely be in your couch controlling your vehicle through your phone. And your vehicle will be driving around autonomously around town, picking up passengers. You make a lot of money because essentially it's like a fully autonomous Uber. It's like a second job. And Tesla gets a small cut of that because you're using the ride hail platform. I think it's gonna be very beneficial. And since it's electric, there's very low maintenance in this electric fleet. I can't wait to see full autonomy coming out this year, late 2021, because that's what Tesla's doing. Whereas most companies right now are still working very hard to make fully autonomous vehicles. Like Google Waymo, they're making a lot of progress, but I don't really think they're that near compared to Tesla is. Tesla has billions of miles feeding into the data system, whereas other companies like the Waymo project only have a few million. So you clearly see the major difference here. And what's even awesome is after full autonomy, we could be seeing certain cities or certain states allowing Tesla to launch their fully autonomous ride hail project. I think the first city that will get like ride hail from Tesla is probably Las Vegas, because they already have this sort of autonomous service with Lyft, which actually has a few fleets of fully autonomous vehicles, but they actually require drivers inside. So I'm really interested to see what happens. And I'm pretty sure the autopilot price will most likely go up. Autopilot will most likely not stay at $10,000. If they come out with full autonomy or even better software, we could be seeing the autopilot being jacked up from 10 grand to 12 grand, maybe even 14 grand, who knows? But the software is super expensive, and I don't really like to see Tesla jacking up the price that much. But you kind of get the idea. I think Tesla could definitely become a multi-trillion-dollar company, not because they make a bunch of vehicles, but because it could definitely launch a very lucrative ride hail project, which guess what? If your car could be making $10,000 to $20,000 per year, you will probably want to buy maybe 2 or 3 Model 3s and then just rent them out as robo-taxis. And you could probably be making like a lot of money every single year, like $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 per year if you have a fleet of 3 cars. And Musk has even said that it could definitely get more buyers into Tesla. Tesla makes some pretty unique cars. They're pretty expensive, but if you're telling me that I could make some pretty nice money from the autonomous vehicles and also the ride hail project, well, I'll definitely buy a Tesla vehicle, and after just a couple years of my car going outside picking up passengers, I'll essentially just pay off my car. It's super simple. And I think sales will absolutely explode, especially how Lyft and Uber and several other ride hail companies are very interested in autonomous driving. A lot of those guys are somewhat struggling, but if you could definitely get a fully robo-taxi, everything's all set up, it's fully autonomous from Tesla, I'd rather just spend that money and just buy a bunch of Model 3s and just refit my fleet. It'll be fully autonomous. I think it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and ARK Invest also believes deep learning will be creating a $30 trillion of value over the next couple of decades. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen. Thanks for watching, guys, and comment below.